Have you ever noticed that after sitting for just 20 minutes, standing up makes your joints feel very old and stiff? Most people think this is just a normal part of getting older, so they stop moving. But here is something most people do not know. Moving less actually makes the pain worse, not better. There are some specific gentle movements, ones most people have never heard of, that can slowly start to change everything. Keep watching, because the most powerful one comes at the very end. In this video, you will learn 5 simple daily movements that most people over 70 have never tried. First, you'll learn a small foot movement that affects your knees and hips more than you would think. Then, a gentle seated hip movement that warms up the joint from the inside. After that, a soft hand and wrist wave that helps the joints people use the most but think about the least. Then an easy wall movement that opens up the shoulder and releases tightness all the way up into the neck. And finally, the last one, the most powerful of all 5. Something so simple it almost sounds too easy, but it works in a way none of the others do. Every single one of these was chosen for people in their 60s and 70s who want to move better, feel less stiff, and stay on their own without needing a gym, equipment, or a perfect body. If you want to stay active, strong, and independent as you get older, please go ahead and subscribe to EverFit Guide right now. We make simple, honest videos made just for people like you. Also, write your age and where you're watching from in the comments below. I read every single one. Now, let us begin. The first movement is called the toe spread and press, and it sounds almost too simple to matter, but give it a few days and you'll understand why we're starting here. Sit in a firm chair with both feet flat on the floor. Now slowly spread all 5 toes as wide as they can go. Hold that for 5 seconds, and then press the whole foot firmly and flat into the floor for another 5 seconds, then fully relax. That's 1 repetition. Do 8 to 10 repetitions per foot, 2 sets total, with about 30 seconds of rest between sets. If you're new to this, start with just 1 foot at a time, and do it while you're relaxing in the evening. No need to be perfect. Here's why this matters so much for people in their 60s and 70s. The feet are the base of everything above them. When the small muscles inside the feet become weak and are not used, the knees start to do extra work. The hips shift to help, and the lower back starts to hurt because everything above the feet is quietly working too hard just to keep you standing. Most people never connect their knee pain or hip stiffness to their feet, but the connection is real and it's strong. Anyone dealing with stiff knees, aching hips, or that uneasy feeling of losing balance will find this movement truly helpful. If you've had recent foot surgery or a foot injury that is still healing, please talk to your doctor before starting. Within the first 2 to 3 weeks, most people notice their balance feels more solid. Their knees shake less when getting up from a chair, and that first step in the morning doesn't feel quite so painful. And remember, the most powerful movement of all 5 is still coming at the very end, so stay with me. The second movement is the seated hip circle, and this one is going to feel like your hips are waking up after a very long sleep. Sit at the edge of a firm chair with your feet flat on the floor and your hands resting gently on your thighs. Now slowly start to draw a circle with your pelvis, moving forward, out to the right, then back and around to the left. Think of it like you're very slowly stirring something beneath you. Keep the circles small at first. Never move into pain. After 8 slow circles in one direction, stop for a breath, then go the other way. Do 2 sets with 45 seconds of rest between. If this is new to you, make the circles very small. Smaller and slower is actually more helpful here than less. The reason this movement matters so much after 70 is that the hip joint is surrounded by tissue and fluid that keeps everything moving smoothly. But when we sit for many hours, that fluid stops moving and the tissue starts to get tight. Most hip pain isn't the joint itself breaking down, it's everything around the joint becoming stiff and dry from not moving. This gentle circular motion helps that fluid move again and reminds the tissue around the joint that it still has a job to do. Anyone who feels stiff after sitting, aches when they first stand up or has lower back pain will find that this movement brings quiet but real relief. If you've had a recent hip replacement, please talk to your doctor before trying. After 1 to 2 weeks of doing this every day, getting up from a chair starts to feel a little easier. The ache that comes after sitting a long time begins to ease, and the hips start to feel warmer and easier to move throughout the day. The third movement is the wrist and finger wave, and this one most people completely ignore until the day they realize that opening a jar, turning a key, or doing up a shirt button has become surprisingly hard. Hold both hands out in front of you with palms facing down. Start by slowly curling just the fingertips downward, then let that curl move through each knuckle one by one, and finally bend the whole wrist downward. Hold gently for 2 seconds at the bottom. Then slowly reverse the wave, lifting the wrist first, then opening the knuckles, and finally lifting the fingertips back up. That is one full wave. Do 6 to 8 full wave cycles per hand, 2 sets with 30 seconds of rest. If one hand is stiffer than the other, move at the speed of the slower hand. Never force a knuckle or wrist that does not want to move. If you're new to this, start with just 3 slow waves and build from there. The small joints of the hands and fingers are often the first to show the signs of getting older, and when they stiffen, it affects daily life right away and can be very frustrating. The flowing wave motion keeps each small joint moving through its natural range instead of letting it freeze in one position from not being used. Within 1 to 2 weeks, morning hand stiffness tends to ease. Grip feels more steady, and the hands begin to feel more loose and easy to use throughout the day. The fourth movement is the wall chest open, and this one will surprise you with how much tightness it quietly releases, not just in the shoulder, but all the way up into the neck. Stand about 1 foot away from a wall. Place your right hand flat against the wall at shoulder height. Now slowly turn your whole body to the left, away from the wall, until you feel a gentle stretch across the front of your right shoulder and chest. This is not a sharp pull, it's a slow, comfortable opening. Hold for 15 to 20 seconds. Breathe slowly throughout. Then switch sides and repeat. Do 3 gentle holds per side with 30 seconds of rest between sides. If the stretch feels too strong at first, stand closer to the wall to make it less intense and move further away slowly as it becomes more comfortable. After 70, the chest and front of the shoulder tend to tighten from many years of everyday posture habits. This tightness quietly reduces how freely the shoulder can move and creates a chain of tension that goes all the way up into the neck and the base of the head. By gently opening the front of the chest, you release pressure on the shoulder joint and give the neck muscles room to relax. Anyone with neck tightness, shoulder pain, or that constant feeling of tension across the upper back will notice a difference within the first week of doing this every day. Those with recent shoulder injury or surgery should get permission from a doctor first. Now you've reached the final movement, the one I've been building toward this whole video, the one that brings everything else together. This is called the seated spinal breath twist, and what makes it so different from anything else on this list is that the movement is not driven by your muscles, it is driven completely by your breath. Sit up straight at the very edge of a firm chair, feet flat on the floor as wide apart as your hips, hands resting gently on your thighs. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Now take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, and as the air fills your lungs, let your upper body very gently begin to turn to the right. Not from your shoulders, from the center of your chest. Let the breath do the turning. When the breath in is complete, hold for just 2 seconds at the natural, gentle end of that turn. Never push it further. Then breathe out slowly through your mouth and let your body drift back to the center. Pause, then repeat to the left side. Do 4 to 5 breath-led twists in each direction, 2 full sets, with 60 seconds of quiet, natural breathing between sets. If you're new to this, start with just 2 gentle twists on each side. The movement will feel almost invisible at first, and that's exactly right. Here's why this one is the most powerful of all 5. The spine is not just a structure that holds you up. It's the main pathway through which your brain talks to every joint, every muscle, and every part of your body. When the spine stops turning regularly, which happens quickly in older adults who sit for long periods, the joints of the knees, hips, shoulders, and hands begin to stiffen not just from not being used, but from losing their connection to the brain. The breath-led twist gently brings that connection back in a way no other movement on this list can. It works at a deeper level. Anyone with stiffness all over the body, a general feeling of the body getting tighter with age, or reduced ability to move freely will find this one quietly life-changing. Those with serious spinal problems or recent spinal surgery should talk to their doctor before trying.
Within the first week of doing this every day, most people find that every other movement in their day feels a little easier. The whole body begins to feel more loose, more awake, and easier to use. And you did not need a gym to get there. You just needed a chair, a breath, and a few quiet minutes. Getting older does not have to mean doing less. It does not have to mean giving up the things you love, the walks, the grandchildren, the mornings that feel like yours. Your body at 70 still has an amazing ability to respond when you give it the right signals, consistently and with patience. Nothing you learned today requires perfection. It only requires that you begin. Just a chair, a wall, and 10 minutes a day. That is enough. If this video gave you even a small feeling of hope today, that is exactly where every change begins. Subscribe to EverFit Guide so you never miss a video made just for people who refuse to let age write their story for them. And leave a comment below telling us your age and where in the world you're watching from. You might just inspire someone else who needed to see that today.